Have you ever stopped to wonder about the stories hidden in plain sight? I mean, really looked at the world, so we think we know so well. Behind every graceful smile and every polite conversation, there is often a hidden layer, a truth that we keep tucked away, waiting for the right moment, or perhaps the right person to be revealed. If you appreciate the depth of human stories and the truths that lie beneath the surface, I invite you to like and subscribe. We aren't just following a trend. We are here to honor the stories that deserve a witness. I would love to know which part of the world you are joining us from today. And tell me, have you ever seen a truth so profound that it changed the way you looked at someone forever? Before we begin our journey into the mahogany shadows, I must remind you that while the social patterns and psychological dynamics we explore are very real, the specific characters and events in this narrative are dramatized to better illustrate the unseen forces at play in our daily lives. Take a deep breath with me. Let's gently pull back the curtain on a reality that is often felt, but rarely spoken aloud. You are walking down a street that feels like a physical assault on your senses. The city, in its late afternoon rush, is a chaotic symphony of grinding metal, frantic footsteps. Zand, the sharp antiseptic scent of exhaust and rain-slicked concrete hit you all at once. Everyone is moving with a desperate, singular purpose. They are walking billboards of their own success or survival, clutching briefcases like shields, and wearing their professional titles as armor. In this world, you are a function. You are a source of revenue, a decision maker, perhaps just another obstacle in someone else's path. The social gravity of the sidewalk pulls you along, demanding that you maintain your pace, your mask, and your guard. But then you find it. A heavy, dark wooden door tucked between two glass-fronted buildings that scream for your attention. There is no flashing neon sign here, only a discreet, gold leaf logo etched into the grain. You reach for the handle, a solid, polished brass weight that feels cool and grounding in your palm. As you push the door open, the silver bell above you rings with a sharp, clean note that signals the end of your sanctuary in the noise. The transition is instantaneous. It is as if you have stepped through a portal into a different century. The roar of the city is cut off with a muffled thud as the door closes behind you. It's replaced by a silence so thick it feels like velvet against your skin. The air here is different. It is cooler, stiller, and carries the sophisticated, intoxicating scent of cedarwood, expensive pomade, and a faint, sharp hint of eucalyptus. The lighting is a warm golden amber that emanates from hidden sources, carefully calculated to highlight the sharp lines of the room, while softening the harsh edges of the world you just left. You stand in the foyer for a heartbeat, allowing your eyes to adjust to the mahogany shadows. The shop is a masterpiece of curated tradition. Vintage razors rest in glass-fronted cases like ceremonial daggers, and the walls are lined with dark wood that seems to have absorbed a century of whispers. This is the sanctuary. This is the place where the high-status performance of the street is allowed to pause. The barber is already waiting for you. He doesn't offer a loud, enthusiastic greeting. He doesn't need to. He acknowledges your arrival with a slow, deliberate nod. Gesture of professional respect that carries more weight than 1,000 hollow smiles. He is a man of indeterminate age, wearing a crisp, white smock that is so clean, it looks surgical. His movements are fluid and economical, the hallmark of a man who has mastered the art of the quiet witness. He doesn't look at you with the searching, opportunistic gaze of the people outside. He looks at you with a clinical, non-judgmental focus that makes you feel, for the first time in days, that you have been truly seen. He gestures toward the chair. It is a heavy, vintage throne of black leather and polished chrome, sitting in the center of the room like an altar. As you walk toward it, you feel the social coordinates of your life beginning to shift. In the world outside, you are the one who gives the orders, the one who navigates the treacherous waters of the corporate grid. But as you climb into the chair, you are surrendering your autonomy. You are placing your image, and by extension, your identity, into the hands of a stranger. The leather is cool and firm as you settle in. The chair is designed to hold you in a position of elegant vulnerability. Your head is tilted slightly back, your throat is exposed, and your gaze is directed toward the massive silver-backed mirror that dominates the wall in front of you. This is the dangerous seat. It is the epicenter of a social engine that most people never realize exists. You look at your reflection, seeing the man you spent all day trying to be. You see the fatigue in your eyes that the amber light hasn't quite erased, and the slight tension in your jaw that reveals the weight of the secrets you've been carrying. The barber stands behind you, his presence a calm, grounding force in your periphery. He doesn't immediately reach for his tools. He allows the silence to settle between you, psychological hollow that demands to be filled. He places a hand lightly on your shoulder, a touch that is neither intimate nor intrusive, but purely ceremonial. It is the beginning of the ritual. You find yourself staring at him through the glass, and you realize that you aren't just here for a haircut. You are here because the city has become a desert of genuine witnessing, and the barbershop is the only oasis left. You are here because you are tired of the mask, even as you prepare to have it refined. The barber understands this. He knows that the transformation he is about to perform is not just physical. He is about to peel back the layers of your public persona, millimeter by millimeter, until the truth underneath is revealed. "Welcome," he says, his voice a low, resonant murmur that matches the amber stillness of the room. "I've been expecting you. It's been a long day in the noise, hasn't it?" His words are simple, yet they land with the force of a revelation. As the barber reaches for a clean, white linen cape, you take a slow, deep breath. The ritual has begun, and the truth is waiting in the mahogany shadows. The barber moves with a grace that is both unsettling and comforting. He reaches for a large, heavy, white linen cape that has been draped over a mahogany stand. He handles the fabric with a reverence that suggests it is more than just a piece of cloth. Sit is the shroud of your public identity. You watch him in the mirror as he shakes it out. The sound is a sharp, percussive snap that echoes through the still air of the shop, a momentary intrusion into the amber-lit silence. It is the sound of a boundary being established. He steps behind the chair, and, as he brings the cape toward you, you feel a strange, instinctive urge to resist, to hold on to the expensive wool of your blazer and the silk of your tie. In the world outside, these garments are your signals of rank. They tell people who you are. They are the artifacts of your professional success, the armor you've carefully selected to navigate. But the barber doesn't care about your labels or the cut of your suit. To him, these things are merely obstacles to the truth. He drapes the linen over your shoulders, and you feel the sudden, surprising weight of it. It isn't light or flimsy, it is thick, high thread count fabric. That settles onto your frame with a heavy, grounding finality. As the cloth falls, it covers your chest, your arms, and your lap, effectively erasing the physical evidence of your social status. You look in the mirror and see the transition happening in real time. The powerful executive, the strategic thinker, the man of consequence. All of that is being buried under a field of pristine, anonymous white. He secures the fastener at your neck. You feel the cool, crisp edge of a paper neck strip being tucked into your collar, followed by the firm, clinical snap of the cape's latch. The sensation is restrictive, yet strangely liberating. It is a physical manifestation of the social contract you've just signed. By allowing him to bind you in this linen, you are agreeing to the rules of the sanctuary. You are surrendering your autonomy in exchange for the promise of transformation. You are no longer a mobile agent in the urban theater. You are a subject. You find yourself staring at your own head, which now appears to be floating above a vast white landscape. Without the context of your clothing, your face becomes the sole focus of the reflection. Every line of tension around your eyes, every shadow of doubt on your brow, and the subtle set of your mouth are now magnified. The white linen acts as a neutral backdrop, a surgical canvas that forces you to confront the raw reality of your own biology. Your ego, which usually leans on the crutches of your expensive attire, and your professional surroundings, suddenly feels exposed and unmoored. The barber places his hands on the crown of your head, adjusting your position by a fraction of an inch. His fingers are warm and steady, his touch conveying a sense of absolute authority. He is the master of this space, the one who decides where the lines end and where the shadows begin. You realize that the cape isn't just protecting your clothes, it is protecting the shop from the contamination of your public life. It is a ritualistic filter that ensures whatever secrets you bring into this chair stay within the mahogany walls. Consider the social nuance of this moment. In any other setting, allowing a stranger to stand so close to touch your head, sand to bind your limbs would be an intolerable violation of your personal sovereignty. But here, the weight of the white linen makes it feel like an accolade. It is a form of high-status submission. You are being handled with the care usually reserved for a priceless artifact or a powerful sovereign. The barber isn't just a service provider, he is a custodian of your image. And in this state of bound stillness, you begin to feel a dangerous sense of trust. You watch his eyes in the mirror as he prepares his first tool. He isn't looking at you as a friend or a confidant. He is looking at the structural variables of your face, the social coordinates of your hair, and the psychological weight you are projecting into the glass. He is the quiet witness to the man behind the title. He understands that the more you surrender your physical identity, the more you will be tempted. The cape is the catalyst for this opening. It creates a psychological hollow where your secrets feel safe, unaware that they are actually being harvested. The air in the room seems to grow heavier, as if the mahogany walls are leaning in. You feel the hum of the city pressing against the frosted glass of the window. Distant and unimportant abstraction. In here, the only thing that matters is the relationship between the man in the chair and the man with the shears. The white linen has done its work. It has stripped away the you that the world knows, and left behind the you that only the barber is allowed to see. You find yourself leaning into the stillness. The initial discomfort of the restriction has evolved into a sense of profound relief. There is a specific kind of freedom in being reduced to your most basic form. You don't have to perform, you don't have to lead, you don't have to win, you just have to be. This is the ultimate bait of the luxury salon. It offers you a temporary escape from the exhaustion of your own importance, creating a vacuum that the barber will eventually fill with his own quiet influence. He picks up a wide, soft, bristled brush and begins to clear away a stray bit of dust from your shoulder, a gesture that feels more like a blessing. The rhythm of his movements is hypnotic, a physical manifestation of the order and discipline. You realize that you have successfully crossed the threshold. You have left the noise of the street behind. The ritualistic boundary of the white linen is complete, and the dissection of your soul is about to begin. You look at your reflection one last time before the first cut, acknowledging the man who is about to disappear. The weight of the white linen is a heavy burden, but it is one you find yourself willing to carry. You are ready to be transformed, unaware that the true cost is the information you are about to provide. The barber knows this. He has seen 1,000 men surrender their armor in this chair. And he knows that the more perfect the image he creates, the more raw the secrets he will receive. Take another deep breath with me. The world outside is a blur of grey indifference. But in here, every millimeter matters. The white linen is tight around your neck, a cold, sharp reminder of your own mortality. You are bound, you are still, and you are finally ready to speak. End of Section 2 Visuals. The barber moves to a small marble-topped counter, where an array of amber glass bottles sits in a precise military-style line. He selects a bottle that is older than the others. Sits label a faded script that speaks of distant forests and ancient traditions. You watch his hands as he uncorks it. There is no splash, no hurried motion, only the slow, rhythmic tilt of the wrist as a few drops of a viscous golden oil fall into a silver bowl. As he begins to whip the oil into a thick, cream-colored lather, the air around the chair undergoes a subtle but profound chemical shift. You find yourself taking a deep, involuntary breath. The air in the sanctuary is no longer merely oxygen. Sit has become a carrier for a sophisticated olfactory narrative. The first thing you notice is the sandalwood. It is a deep, grounding scent, heavy with the weight of centuries. It smells of old-growth timber, of sacred temples, and of the kind of permanence that your high-pressure life in the city lacks. It is a scent that anchors you to the mahogany walls, convincing your nervous system that you are no longer in danger. Your shoulders, which have been locked in a defensive posture for weeks, finally begin to settle against the leather of the chair. Then, cutting through the richness of the wood, comes the sharp, medicinal clarity of eucalyptus. It is a brilliant, awakening note that clears your mind of the urban clutter. The scent of rain-slicked exhaust and metallic city dust is completely purged from your memory. In its place is a crystalline focus that feels like a gift. You feel more alert, more present, and more alive. This is the olfactory trap of trust. By stimulating the most primitive parts of your brain, the barber is bypassing your logical defenses and speaking directly to your limbic system, the seat of your emotions, your memories, and your secrets. Consider the biological brilliance of this maneuver. In the world outside, your brain is constantly scanning for threats, filtering out the sensory noise of the city, so you can focus on the next deal, the next meeting, or the next rival. You are a creature of high alert logic. But scent is the only one of your senses that has a direct, unmediated path to the emotional centers of your mind. It doesn't ask for permission to enter, it simply arrives. By saturating the air with these specific notes, the barber is effectively rewiring your state of being. He is preparing your biology for a confession. Be creating an atmosphere that feels more home than your own living room. He picks up a clean, steaming white towel from a brass warmer, and as the heat hits the air, the scent of the oils intensifies, becoming a warm, humid cloud that envelops your face. He drapes the towel over your eyes and jaw. And for a moment, the world is reduced to heat and scent. In this state of sensory isolation, your perception of time begins to warp. The frantic rhythm of the city's clocks is replaced by the slow, steady pulse of your own heart. You feel a sense of profound safety. Belief that in this amber-lit cocoon, nothing bad can happen. The dangerous seat doesn't feel dangerous anymore. Sit feels like the only honest place left in the world. This is the psychological hollow that the scent creates. Because you feel so comfortable, you begin to feel ungracious for being guarded. Your ego, fed by the citrus-scented luxury and the visual validation of the room, starts to relax its grip on your tongue. You find yourself wanting to share the burden of your success, to tell the quiet witness behind you about the strategic challenges that are keeping you awake at night. You want to prove that you are worthy of this elite sanctuary, unaware that every breath you take is a surrender of your discretion. The barber understands the power of the scent memory bridge. He knows that sandalwood often triggers a sense of paternal authority, while eucalyptus suggests a fresh start. By combining them, he is positioning himself as both a custodian of your past and a partner in your future. He isn't just making you smell like a man of consequence. She is making you feel like a man who can afford to be expansive. He is waiting for the moment when the biological preparation is complete, and the weight of your secrets becomes heavier than the desire to keep them. You look at the steam rising from the towel, visible only at the edges of your vision. And it looks like a mist over a dark, quiet river. You feel a surge of gratitude for this moment of peace. You think of your office with its fluorescent lights and its constant vibrating tension. And it feels like a distant, unimportant abstraction. You feel that you have successfully stepped out of the social engine of the city, unaware that you are currently sitting in its most efficient intake valve. This sense of immunity is the barber's greatest tool. The scent trap makes you want to push information toward him. He removes the towel with a slow, fluid motion. And the cool air of the shop hits your warmed skin. The transition is refreshing, but the scent remains, a lingering psychological anchor. He begins to apply the lather to your jawline with a brush made of fine badger hair. The touch is soft, rhythmic, and hypnotic. Every stroke is a physical reinforcement of the trust. Your jaw, which usually clenches in the face of scrutiny, remains loose and cooperative. You are in a state of high-status submission, a titan who has been calmed by the chemistry of the sanctuary. The barber leans in, his presence now feeling like a natural extension of the amber light. He is watching the man behind the mask, waiting for the first word to drop into the silence. The biology of your confession is complete. The stage is set, the actor is ready, and the quiet witness is listening. The large wall-mounted mirror in front of you is not a modern sheet of industrially produced glass. It is a silver-backed antique, thick and slightly heavy with age. Its surface possessing a depth that a cheaper reflection could never emulate. In the world outside, mirrors are often harsh and accusatory, catching you in the unforgiving glare of elevator lights or the utilitarian brightness of a restroom, highlighting every pore, every wrinkle, and every sign of the city's erosion. But here, in the Amber Sanctuary, the mirror is an ally. It is a portal into a reality where your potential is prioritized over your exhaustion. It doesn't just show you who you are. It suggests who you could be if you only had the courage to let go of the man you've become. The barber stands in your periphery, a silent architect, who has spent the last several minutes analyzing the topography of your skull and the specific grain of your hair. He reaches for a pair of heavy, cold-forged steel shears. They glint in the golden light, a sharp, silver promise of precision. As he brings them toward your head, you find yourself staring into your own eyes in the glass. This is the moment where the masterpiece begins to take shape. For the first time in a long time, you aren't looking at your reflection to check for flaws or to fix a stray hair. You are looking at it with a sense of wonder, as if you are witnessing the restoration of a priceless painting that had been obscured by years of neglect. He makes the first cut, a clean, rhythmic snip that resonates through the still air of the shop. You watch a lock of hair fall onto the pristine white linen of the cape, and it feels as though a small piece of your public burden has been discarded with it. The barber works with a deliberate, slow-motion grace. He doesn't rush, because he understands that he isn't just performing a service. She is conducting a psychological surgery. Every movement of his hand is calculated to align your physical image with the high-status narrative you desire. He is sculpting your jawline, emphasizing the strength of your brow and refining the geometry of your presence. You find yourself falling in love with this curated version of yourself. In the world outside, you are often plagued by a nagging sense of fraudulence. Fear that the people in your boardroom or your social circle will see through the suit and find the uncertain, tired individual underneath. But here, in this silver-backed mirror, that person is being systematically erased. The man emerging from the mahogany shadows is absolute. He is focused. He is beyond reproach. You see the sharp, clean lines of the taper and the surgical precision of the nape. And you feel a surge of narcissistic satisfaction. You look like the kind of man who makes no mistakes. You look like a man whose word is law. This is the psychological sweet spot of the luxury salon. By giving you exactly what your vanity craves, the barber is earning a terrifying level of ownership over your identity. You believe that because he is the one who created this masterpiece, he is the only one who truly understands the man behind it. You mistake his clinical focus for a shared priority. You believe that because he is obsessed with your perfection, he is a partner in your success. In this state of heightened self-regard, your psychological armor doesn't just crack, it vanishes. You feel so invincible, so perfected, that you believe you can afford to be expansive. The barber pauses for a fraction of a second, the blades of his shears held open near your ear. He doesn't look at you directly, but his eyes meet yours in the silver glass. "It's all about the details, isn't it?" he murmurs, his voice a low, encouraging accompaniment to the rhythm of the cut. A single millimeter out of place, and the whole image collapses. It's the same in your world, I imagine. One unforeseen detail can dismantle a whole empire. His observation is profound and seductive. It is a bridge built of professional courtesy and shared standards. He is inviting you to see yourself as a fellow craftsman, a man who operates on the same frequency of precision that he does. To decline the invitation would feel ungracious, a betrayal of the sacred bond you've been building for the last hour. So, you step across. You offer a small shard of information, a specific detail from your own world, to prove that you are indeed a man of precision. You mentioned the timing of an upcoming announcement, or perhaps the name of a person you are planning to meet for a quiet dinner. In the heat of your own vanity, these details feel like harmless ornaments of conversation. You believe you are just providing the texture of your high-status life. You don't realize that the barber is a master of social triangulation. He doesn't need the whole story. He only needs the coordinates. He knows that the name of a restaurant combined with a specific time is a meeting he can map. He knows that an unforeseen cost is a crack in the armor of a major corporation. He is catching every shard you drop, recording the social coordinates of your empire in the unseen ledger of his mind. But you are too mesmerized by the masterpiece in the glass to notice the harvest. You are watching the way the amber light catches the new angles of your face, marveling at how the barber has managed to find the man you were always meant to be. You feel a sense of profound gratitude toward him. You feel that this room is the only place in the city where you can be real. Unaware that your reality is being refined into a currency of influence, you mistake his silence for loyalty, not realizing it is the silence of a recording device. The barber moves to the other side, his touch grounding and steady. The rhythmic snip, snip, snip resumes, a percussive reminder of the order he is imposing on your chaos. You feel a sense of profound belonging. You feel that you are part of an exclusive intelligence network. Man whose words carry the same weight as the silver blades working around your ears. You are providing him with the raw material of humanity, and he is refining it into the currency of influence. Consider the sophisticated irony of this moment. You came here to improve your standing in the world. But by the time you stand up from this chair, you will have provided the very tools that could be used to dismantle your standing. You are not just a client, you are a potential chapter in a cautionary tale. He finishes the detail work around your ears and uses a soft brush to clear away the microscopic remnants of hair. The sensation is light, almost ticklish. You look at yourself in the mirror and you see a titan. You see a man of absolute certainty. But the quiet witness sees something else. He sees the tiny structural weaknesses you've revealed in the heat of your vanity. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air of the sanctuary fill your lungs, unaware that with every word, you have been paying the rent for your sovereign seat in the currency of your own future. The barber moves around the chair with a grace that is both practiced and profoundly unsettling, once you stop to analyze it. It is a rhythm that suggests a total absence of hurry, deliberate rejection of the city's frantic pulse, that beats just a few feet away beyond the frosted glass. In the world outside, speed is a metric of success. The faster you move, the more you are worth. The more appointments you can cram into an hour, the more influential you are perceived to be. But here, the barber's slow, economical movements signal a different kind of power. He is the master of time within these mahogany walls. And by surrendering your schedule to him, you are inadvertently surrendering your status. You mistake this slow pacing for a luxury, provided for your comfort, but in reality, it is the clinical preparation for your observation. You watch his face in the silver-backed mirror, searching for a sign of the man behind the white smock. His expression is one of serene, unwavering focus. It is the clinical grace of a professional who has seen everything and judged none of it, at least not in a way that you can perceive. When he catches your eye in the reflection, she offers a slight, sophisticated smile. It isn't the wide, opportunistic grin of a salesman, nor the weary, forced smile of a subordinate. It is a mirror of your own projection, a polite acknowledgement that makes you feel like you are in the company of a peer. This is the first and most dangerous mistake you make in the dangerous seat. You believe that because he is being kind, he is being your friend. Consider the psychological mechanics of the interaction. For the last 40 minutes, this man has been within your sovereign physical space. He has touched your head, tilted your chin, and worked with sharp metal inches from your jugular. In any other social context, this level of proximity would be reserved for a lover, a parent, or a doctor. This physical intimacy creates a false sense of psychological safety. Your brain, wired to associate touch with trust, begins to lower its guard. You feel a sense of kinship with the man who is sculpting your image, the belief that you share a sacred bond born of this ritual. You start to view the barber as a confidant, a neutral territory where you can deposit the truths that are too heavy to carry back to the office or home. But the barber is not your confidant. He is a witness. While you are busy falling in love with the masterpiece, she is creating in the mirror. She is busy mapping the reality of the man in the chair. He isn't just looking at the grain of your hair. She is observing the way your hands clench the armrests. When he mentions a certain neighborhood, he is listening to the subtle shift in your tone. When you speak about your board of directors, he is recording the scent of the stress sweat that even the expensive cedarwood oil can't quite mask. To you, the conversation is a release, a way to vent the pressure of a high-status life. To him, every word is a data point, a new entry in the unseen ledger of the city's true history. He reaches for a leather strop, the thick strap of hide hanging from the side of the marble counter. You watch as he begins to sharpen a vintage straight razor, thwack, thwack, thwack of the steel against the leather, providing a percussive rhythm to the amber stillness. The sound is grounding and traditional, a reminder of a time when things were simpler and men were judged by their word. You feel a surge of nostalgia, a longing for the integrity that this room seems to represent. You want to be the kind of man who belongs in a place like this, a man of absolute truth, and in that longing you offer him a truth of your own. It's a different world out there today, you might say, your voice sounding rich and effortless in the quiet. You aren't just making small talk, you are seeking validation. You want the quiet witness to acknowledge the weight of the world you navigate. The barber pauses, the razor held mid-air, and offers a slow, thoughtful nod. The city has a way of demanding more than it gives, he replies. His voice a low, melodic accompaniment to your own thoughts. People forget that the image is just the surface. It's what lies beneath the line that matters. This is the perfect bait. It is a profound, non-judgmental observation that invites you to be expansive. Because he hasn't asked a specific question, you don't feel interrogated. You feel understood. You feel that you are sharing a philosophy with a trusted advisor rather than providing leverage to an observer. You mention the exhaustion of always having to be the one with the answers, the one who never falters, the one whose lines must always be straight. You drop the name of a rival, not in anger, but in a tone of shared weary wisdom. You mention the unforeseen costs of a specific development project, framing it as a lesson in precision. In the heat of your own vanity, you believe you are merely providing the texture of a sophisticated life. You think you're matching the barber's clinical grace with a grace of your own. But the barber is a master of social triangulation. He knows that an unforeseen cost is a crack in the armor of a major corporation. He knows that the mention of a specific rival's name in this sanctuary means a shifting alliance is already in motion. He is catching every shard of information you drop, recording the social coordinates of your empire. While you are mesmerized by the sharp taper of your sideburns, the clinical grace of the barber is his greatest weapon. It allows him to be present without being intrusive. He is the silent mirror that reflects your ego back to you, groomed and polished, until you are so blinded by your own image that you stop seeing him at all. You forget that he is a technician who deals in the raw material of humanity. You forget that he carries the city's darkness in his marrow. And that the pomade is the only thing that keeps that darkness from leaking out. You mistake his professional courtesy for loyalty, not realizing that his loyalty belongs to the ledger, not the client. He moves the razor to your nape, and the sensation is cold, sharp and grounding. You find yourself holding your breath, a primitive reaction to the proximity of the blade. In this moment of extreme vulnerability, you feel a strange sense of belonging. You feel that this room is the only place where you can be real. You mistake his silence for a shield, unaware that it is actually a conduit. You are not just a client. You are a potential chapter in a cautionary tale. The sophisticated irony is that while you came here to improve your standing in the world, you have ended up providing the tools to dismantle it. As he finishes the work and clears away the microscopic remnants of hair with a soft brush, you look in the mirror and see a man of absolute certainty. You see a titan. But the quiet witness sees the millimeter slip. He sees the tiny, structural weaknesses you've revealed in the heat of your vanity. He knows the price of the silence he has provided, and he knows that the ledger is never truly closed. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air of the sanctuary fill your lungs, unaware that with every word you have been paying the rent for your sovereign seat, in the currency of your own future. The barber replaces the heavy straight razor on the marble counter. And for a moment, the only sound in the room is the soft, rhythmic hum of the city pressing against the frosted glass. It is a distant, unimportant vibration, a reminder of the chaos you have successfully escaped. He reaches for a pair of small, silver detail scissors, the kind that look more like a watchmaker's precision tool than a traditional grooming instrument. As he brings them toward your head, you feel the cold presence of the steel near your ear, a sensation that is both sharp and grounding. He begins to work, and the atmosphere of the sanctuary undergoes a final, percussive transformation. The sound is different now. It isn't the sweeping, melodic shh, shh of the larger shears, nor the heavy thwack of the leather strop. It is a series of rapid, high-pitched snip, snip, snip sounds that occur with the terrifying regularity of a metronome. Each cut is precise, removing only a fraction of a millimeter of hair. But the cumulative effect is a hypnotic, percussive rhythm that seems to echo inside your very skull. This is the metronome of the transformation. It marks the passage of time not in minutes or seconds, but in the systematic stripping away of your ambiguities. The barber is no longer just a stylist. He is a drummer. And your identity is the instrument he is tuning. In the world outside, silence is a commodity that is rarely found and almost never understood. We use noise as a shield, a constant stream of music, conversation and digital alerts to keep the void at bay. We are terrified of the empty space between words, because that is where the truth usually lives. But here, in the amber light of the shop, the silence is curated. It is a heavy, expectant void that sits between the percussive strikes of the scissors. Every time the snip, snip, snip pauses, the silence rushes in to fill the gap, creating a psychological hollow that demands to be filled. You find yourself sitting in the center of this vacuum, feeling a growing, irresistible compulsion to speak. This is the hidden mechanics of the percussive silence. The barber understands that a man in a state of physical submission bound in white linen and calmed by the scent of sandalwood, cannot endure the weight of an unscripted silence. The rhythm of the scissors acts as a heartbeat, biological anchor that makes you feel that the room is alive and receptive. When that rhythm stops, your ego feels the sudden absence of support. It feels exposed. You look at your reflection in the silver-backed mirror, seeing the man of absolute certainty, and you feel that you must prove that you are worthy of the image. You feel that you must justify your presence in the dangerous seat by offering something of value. You find yourself searching for a topic that matches the sophistication of the room. You don't want to talk about the weather or the local sports scores. Those are the conversations of the street, the noise of the common man. You want to offer a truth that has the same sharp silver edge, the tools working around your ears. You want to show the quiet witness that you are a man of consequence. Man whose thoughts are as well ordered as the haircut he is creating. And so, into the hollow created by the silence, you drop a name. It isn't a major confession, or so you tell yourself. You mention a specific lunch meeting you had at that private club on the park, the one where the membership fee is a year's salary for most people. You mention the slight edge of irritation in a certain board member's voice when the topic of the merger was brought up. You frame it as an observation of social nuance, a sophisticated piece of texture for the barber's day. You think you are participating in a transfer of influence, a high-status exchange between equals. You don't realize that you're simply providing the raw material for the ledger. The barber doesn't interrupt, he doesn't ask for clarification, and he doesn't offer judgment. He simply resumes the snip-snips of the scissors, the percussive rhythm acting as an encouraging nod. His silence is not an absence of interest, it is a clinical receptivity. He is catching every shard of information you drop, every nuance of tone, and every subtle shift in your pulse. He knows that a man who mentions a board member's irritation is a man who is observing a crack in a corporate fortress. He knows that a private lunch is a coordinate on the map of the city's unofficial alliances. He is integrating your words into a much larger, much more dangerous map of the city's power dynamics. Consider the social irony of your position. You are paying a premium for this silence, for the privilege of sitting in a room where you don't have to perform. And yet, the very nature of that silence is what forces you to perform more intensely than you ever do in the boardroom. You are so mesmerized by the masterpiece in the glass that you don't see the quiet witness harvesting your leverage. You believe the amber light and the cedarwood act as a shield, unaware that they are actually a conduit. You mistake his professional courtesy for loyalty, not realizing that he is a technician who deals in the raw material of humanity. The rhythm of the scissors moves to the hair around your ears, a region of extreme physical and psychological sensitivity. The proximity of the blades is a cold, sharp reminder of your own mortality. In this state of heightened vulnerability, the need to speak becomes almost frantic. You mention your partner's name with a slight, calculated edge of weariness. You admit to the unforeseen costs of a specific development project, framing it as a lesson in the details that matter. You are providing the barber with a manual on how to control you, revealing the exact points where you feel the most fraudulent, the areas where you are most terrified that the city will see the messy reality beneath your polished surface. The barber pauses again, the silver blades held open near your temple. He meets your eyes in the reflection, and for a second, the mask of the serene master remains. But the message is clear, he has heard you. Precision is the only thing that separates us from the chaos, he murmurs, his voice a low, melodic accompaniment to the silence. Most men are afraid of the details, but a man like you understand that the details are where the truth lives. It is a seductive, powerful validation. It makes you feel that your pursuit of vanity is actually a pursuit of character. It makes you feel that by letting him sculpt your image, you are demonstrating a superior level of sophistication. You feel a sense of profound belonging, a belief that this room is the only place where you can be real about the complexity of your life. You mistake his silence for a sanctuary, not realizing it is the silence of an archive. You are not just a client, you are a potential chapter in a cautionary tale. As he finishes the work and clears away the microscopic remnants of hair with a soft brush, you look in the mirror and see a man of absolute, unwavering purpose. You see a titan. But the quiet witness sees the millimeter slip. He sees the tiny structural weaknesses you've revealed in the heat of your vanity. He knows the price of the silence he has provided, and he knows that the ledger is never truly closed. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air of the sanctuary fill your lungs. Unaware that with every word, you have been paying the rent for your sovereign seat in the currency of your own future. The percussive rhythm of the scissors has stopped. But the echoes of your confession are now a permanent part of the mahogany shadows. You look around the room again, but this time, your gaze lingers on the physical architecture of the sanctuary. You aren't just looking at the decor, you are beginning to perceive the deliberate, sophisticated geometry of status that defines this space. In the world outside, the city is a chaotic sprawl of glass and concrete. A place where the lines are often blurred by the frantic pace of survival. But here, within these four walls, everything is ruled by a sharp, uncompromising order. The dark mahogany of the walls doesn't just hold the ceiling, it seems to absorb the very light of the room, creating a depth that makes the space feel infinitely larger and more significant than its physical dimensions suggest. The wood is old, its grain deep and intricate, polished to a dull, expensive luster that suggests a century of silent observation. You realize that this room was not just built, it was engineered to be a vault for the city's true history. Your eyes drift to the brass fixtures that punctuate the mahogany shadows. They are polished to a mirror finish, catching the amber light and reflecting it back in small, sharp bursts of gold. These are the social anchors of the room. The brass coat rack, the heavy bases of the barber chairs, the intricate scrollwork on the towel warmer. They all communicate a sense of permanence and unyielding weight. In a city where everything is replaceable and every alliance is temporary, these fixtures offer a sensory promise of stability. They make you feel that as long as you are within this geometry, you are part of something that cannot be easily dismantled. You feel that your status, much like the brass and the wood, is an immutable fact of the universe. Consider the way the furniture is arranged. In a standard salon, the chairs are often lined up in a utilitarian row, a layout designed for high-volume efficiency. But here, the chairs are positioned with the strategic precision of pieces on a chessboard. Each station is a sovereign island of influence, separated by a distance that is carefully calculated to provide a sense of absolute privacy, while maintaining a subtle connection to the room's collective gravity. You are sitting at the epicenter of this engine. The height of your chair is set just a fraction higher than a standard seat, a detail so subtle you barely notice it. Yet it has a profound effect on your psychology. It places you in a position of literal and metaphorical elevation. You are the sovereign of this island, the person for whom the entire geometry of the room has been constructed. The lighting is the most sophisticated component of this social engineering. It isn't the flat, democratic brightness of an office or the neon urgency of a storefront. It is a selective, directional amber glow that seems to prioritize certain features of the room while consigning others to the shadows. It highlights the sharp, clean lines of your new haircut and the sophisticated texture of the mahogany, while softening the edges of your fatigue and the cracks in your public mask. This lighting is a form of visual curation. It convinces you that you are at your absolute peak, a man of such consequence, that even the photons in the air have been instructed to flatter you. In this state of heightened self-regard, you feel a surge of profound belonging. You feel that you are finally in a room that matches the perceived scale of your own importance. You find yourself running your fingers along the cold, polished chrome of the armrests, feeling the vibration of the city's roar through the foundations of the building. It feels like the distant hum of a machine you have finally learned how to control. You believe that the environment is a shield, a psychological barrier that protects your status from the contamination of the crowd outside. You feel safe here, yet you are surrounded by the most volatile elements of your society. You are sitting in a room that could destroy a dozen careers in a single afternoon, yet you feel a sense of profound relief. This is the genius of the shop's dark psychology. Sit makes the danger feel like an exclusive privilege. It convinces you that because you are part of the sacred bond of the room, you are protected from the very gravity that crushes those on the outside. The barber returns to your side, his movements a fluid continuation of the room's geometry. He picks up a wide, flat brush and begins to clear away a stray hair from your ear. With a rhythmic, grounding touch, he doesn't say anything, but you feel the weight of his presence. He is the master of this gravitational field, the one who keeps the city's secrets in orbit. He knows the exact moment to release a piece of information and the exact moment to hold it back. He understands that influence is a game of patience and timing. As he works, you find yourself admiring the sheer elegance of the system. You see the mahogany and the brass not as decorations, but as the raw material that the shop refines into the currency of influence. You look at your reflection in the silver-backed mirror, and for a second, the mask you wore into the shop finally slips. It doesn't break with a crash. It dissolves quietly in the amber light. You realize that the successful man staring back at you is a ghost, a citrus-scented phantom that lives on the surface of the glass. The real you is the person who feels the cold brass against his palms. Zand wonders how he became so addicted to the approval of a room full of shadows. You realize that your own empire, however grand, is now being mapped by the man who controls your image. Every word you have whispered into the hum of the clippers is a new entry in the unseen ledger. The sophistication of the trap is that you cannot stop coming back. You are addicted to the feeling of being worth the effort that this geometry provides. You are addicted to the sensation of being the only person who matters. In a city that treats people like replaceable parts, even knowing what you now know about the quiet witness and his archive of secrets, you find yourself wanting to stay in the chair. You want to believe that you are the exception, that your secrets are the ones he will protect, that you are the architect and he is the servant. But as he adjusts the cape and tilts your head for the final stages of the trim, you see the truth in his serene, non-judgmental eyes. You are just another contributor to the ledger. You are another chapter in the story of the city's social gravity. The silence returns, but it feels different now. It is no longer a vacuum. It is a weight. It is the weight of the mahogany, the weight of the brass, and the weight of the truths you have already traded for the image in the glass. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air of the sanctuary fill your lungs one last time before the final reveal. You are ready to stand up, but you realize that you are leaving a deposit of your own essence behind in this room. You are walking out as a managed construct, a masterpiece of social engineering whose lines have been drawn by a stranger. The geometry of status has done its work. It has convinced you that you are a sovereign, while ensuring that you remain a subject. You look at the fallen hair on the white linen, and it looks like the debris of a war you didn't even realize you were fighting. The barber returns to the marble counter, his movements so controlled they seem to occur in a vacuum. He replaces the heavier shears and reaches for a smaller, delicate pair of detail scissors. The the kind that look like they belong in a watchmaker's atelier rather than a salon. They are thin, needle-sharp, and catch the amber light in a way that feels both beautiful and threatening. As he turns back toward you, you find yourself staring at your own eyes in the mirror. For the first time in months, perhaps even years, you actually like the man staring back at you. The fatigue has been erased. The uncertainty has been trimmed away. Zand, the sharp lines of your jawline suggest a person of absolute unwavering purpose. This is the moment where your vanity reaches its absolute peak. You feel invincible, perfected, and profoundly grateful. You feel that the man in the chair is the person you were always meant to be. In the world outside, you are a collection of compromises and half-measures. A person constantly adjusting to the demands of others. But here, under the amber glow, you are the masterpiece. And in this state of heightened self-regard, your psychological armor doesn't just crack, it vanishes. You believe that you have finally achieved the status you deserve. And with that belief comes a dangerous desire to be expansive. The barber leans in closer than he has at any other point in the session. He is working on the hair around your ears, a region of extreme physical and psychological sensitivity. The sound of the small scissors is different. It's a series of rapid, high-pitched tink-tink-tink sounds that resonate through your skull. To achieve the necessary precision, his face is just inches from yours. You can see the fine texture of his white smock. Zand smell the faint, clean scent of cedarwood on his breath. In the world outside, this level of proximity would be an intolerable intrusion, violation of your sovereign space. But here, it feels like an accolade. You are being handled with the care of a priceless artifact. The barber is treating the millimeters of your image as if they are the most important variables in the city. You mistake this clinical focus for a shared priority. You believe that because he is obsessed with your perfection, he is a partner in your success. This is the slip of the tongue at millimeter precision. It is the most dangerous moment of the entire ritual. Because you feel so beautiful, you feel less threatened. Because you feel perfected, you feel that you can afford to be generous with your thoughts. Your ego, fed by the citrus-scented comfort and the visual validation in the glass, begins to overflow. You find yourself wanting to match the barber's precision with a precision of your own. You want to prove that your internal life is as sophisticated and well-ordered as the haircut he is creating. You want to show the quiet witness that you are a man, whose words carry the same weight as his silver blades. It's all about the details, isn't it? You might say. Your voice sounding rich and effortless in the amber stillness. You think you are making a general observation about craft. You feel like a philosopher king, sharing a truth with a trusted advisor. The barber pauses for a fraction of a second, the blades of the small scissors held open near your ear. The details are where the truth lives, he replies, his voice a low, encouraging murmur. A single millimeter out of place, and the whole image collapses. It's the same in your world, I imagine. A single detail forgotten can dismantle everything. This is the perfect opening. It is a bridge built of professional courtesy and shared standards. To decline the invitation would feel ungracious, a betrayal of the sacred bond you've been building for the last hour. So you step across. You offer a small shard of information, not a major secret, but a shard of information. You might mention the specific timing of an upcoming announcement, or the name of a person you're planning to meet for a quiet dinner. You might drop a hint about a certain board member's growing anxiety, or the unforeseen costs of a specific development project. In the heat of your own vanity, these details feel like harmless ornaments of conversation. You believe you are just providing the texture of your high-status life. You don't realize that the barber is a master of social triangulation. He doesn't need the whole story, he only needs the coordinates. He knows that the name of a restaurant combined with a specific time is a meeting he can map. He knows that an unforeseen cost is a crack in the armor of a major corporation. He knows that a shifting alliance in a boardroom is a political wind he can trade. He is catching every shard you drop, recording the social coordinates of your empire in the unseen ledger of his mind. Consider the social nuance of this exchange. You are talking to a man who is literally sculpting your ears. The physical intimacy of the act creates a psychological hollow where your secrets feel safe. You believe the sandalwood and the amber light act as a shield, unaware that they are actually a conduit. You are so mesmerized by the masterpiece in the mirror that you don't see the quiet witness harvesting your leverage. The barber understands that a man who is being groomed is a man who is in a state of social becoming. You are looking forward to the moment you walk out that door and reclaim your role. And in that anticipation, you are careless with the present. The barber moves to the other ear, his touch grounding and steady. The tink, tink, tink of the scissors resumes, a rhythmic reminder of the precision he is applying to your image. You feel a sense of profound belonging. You feel that this room is the only place where you can be real about the complexity of your life. You mistake his silence for loyalty, not realizing it is the silence of a recording device. You are providing him with the raw material of humanity, and he is refining it into the currency of influence. You are trading your future discretion for the immediate gratification of being seen as powerful. Every word you whisper into the hum of the clippers is a new entry in the shop's archive. You mention your partner's name with a slight edge of irritation, a detail he notes. You admit to the stress of a specific project, a vulnerability he records. You realize that your own empire, however grand, is now being mapped by the man who controls your image. The sophisticated irony of the moment is that while you came here to improve your standing in the world, you have ended up providing the tools to dismantle it. You are not just a client, you are a potential chapter in a cautionary tale. As he finishes the detail work around your ears, he uses a soft brush to clear away the microscopic remnants of hair. The sensation is light, almost ticklish, a final sensory reward for your cooperation. You look at yourself in the mirror and you see a man who is ready for anything. You see a man of absolute certainty. But the quiet witness sees something else. He sees the millimeter slip. He sees the tiny structural weaknesses you've revealed in the heat of your vanity. He knows the price of the silence he has provided, and he knows that the ledger is never truly closed. Your reputation is now a managed construct, and the manager is the one holding the silver shears. You take a slow, deep breath, unaware that with every word, you have been paying the rent for your sovereign seat in the currency of your own future. The barber switches tools once more, this time reaching for a set of professional electric clippers. They are heavy, encased in polished chrome, and they hum to life with a low, steady vibration. That feels like the distant purr of a well-tuned engine as he brings the device toward your temple. You feel the vibration transfer through the comb and into your skull. It is a grounding sensation, a rhythmic buzz that seems to harmonize with the internal frequency of your own thoughts. In this state of sensory alignment, the conversation shifts from the philosophical to the geopolitical, the small, intense geopolitics of your specific social and professional circle. You are now entering the phase of the session where the social coordinates of power are established. The barber doesn't ask you for a list of your contacts. He doesn't need to be so crude. Instead, he uses the quiet witness technique of the specific association. He might mention a building, a new glass and steel monolith rising in the financial district, and comment on its architectural arrogance. I heard the penthouse was taken by someone who prefers to remain in the shadows. She murmurs, his voice barely audible over the hum of the clippers. He isn't seeking information. He is providing a vacuum. He is giving you an opportunity to prove your proximity to the center of the engine. Because you feel so perfected in the mirror, because you feel like the sovereign of this amber room, you cannot resist the urge to fill that vacuum with a name. "Oh, you mean Julian," you might reply, your tone possessing the casual weight of a man who knows exactly who Julian is. He's been trying to consolidate his position for months. That penthouse isn't a residence, it's a fortress. With that one sentence, you have provided a coordinate. You have confirmed a connection, a rivalry, and a psychological motivation. You have handed over a shard of information that the barber will carefully integrate into the unseen ledger of the city. To you, it feels like a moment of high-status exchange. You feel like a player in a grand game, sharing intelligence with a trusted peer. But the barber is not your peer. He is a cartographer of human vulnerability. He knows that Julian sat in this very chair 3 days ago. Zand mentioned your name with the same calculated edge of weariness. He is the bridge between your secrets, the catalyst that allows the disparate pieces of the city's power map to find their way into a single, coherent design. Consider the hidden mechanics of this information harvest. While the formal institutions of the city, the courts, the media, the regulatory boards, operate on a schedule of transparency and record-keeping, the barbershop operates on the frequency of the unspoken. You realize that the most important decisions in this city are not made in mahogany-paneled boardrooms under fluorescent lights. They are made through a series of introductions and subtle hints that are never officially recorded. The barber is the silent architect of these alliances. By helping you build your mask, he becomes the only person who knows where the hidden doors are. He knows which names make your jaw tense, which ambitions make you hold your breath, and which failures you are most terrified will be revealed. The clippers move to the back of your head, the vibration now a deep, resonant thrum against your vertebrae. You find yourself leaning into the sensation, your ego fueled by the idea that you are part of an exclusive intelligence network. You want to contribute more to the map. You want to show the quiet witness that you too are an observant player. So, you offer another piece of the puzzle. You mention a rumor you heard about a specific offshore development project, or you confirm a suspicion about a shifting alliance within your professional board. You believe you are participating in a transfer of influence, a high-status trade between equals. You don't realize that you are just another contributor to the ledger, a source of data that will eventually be used to manage someone else's image, or perhaps to dismantle yours. This is the geographic trap of the sanctuary. Because the room feels like a safe harbor, you forget that it is actually a hub. Every whisper in this chair has the potential to become a policy change in City Hall 3 months later. Every irritation you voice about a partner has the potential to become a leverage point in a hostile takeover. The barber is the one who understands how these fragments fit together. He sees the who, the where, and most importantly, the why behind the city's movements. To you, the street outside is just noise. To him, it is a data stream. And you, in your perfected vanity, have become one of his primary sensors. You watch his eyes in the mirror as he works. They are calm, analytical, and entirely devoid of judgment. This is what makes him so dangerous. If he reacted with surprise or excitement, your guard would immediately return. But his serene indifference makes your confessions feel like harmless observations. You feel that your secrets are safe because they are being deposited into a vacuum. You don't realize that the vacuum is actually a vault. You believe that the sacred bond you feel is a shield, unaware that it is actually a leash. You are giving up your leverage in exchange for a feeling of belonging, trading your future security for the immediate gratification of being the man who knows. As he finishes with the clippers and the low hum dies away, the silence of the shop rushes back in, heavier and more expectant than before. The air smells more intensely of cedarwood and eucalyptus, sensory reminder of the biological rewiring you've undergone. You look at your reflection, and you see a man who is ready to conquer the world. You see a titan, but the quiet witness sees the social coordinates you've just revealed. He knows exactly where your fortress is, who your allies are, and what price you are willing to pay for your image. He has mapped the cracks in your mask. And he knows that the person who is obsessed with a straight line is a man who is terrified of the curve. The barber picks up a clean, dry towel and clears away the fallen hair from the white linen of your cape. The movement is sharp and final, a signal that the mapping phase of the session is concluding. You feel a surge of narcissistic satisfaction, a belief that you have successfully navigated a sophisticated social interaction. You feel seen, you feel secure, and you feel special. But as the barber reaches for a crystal decanter to offer you a final sensory reward, you don't realize that you have just handed over the keys to your fortress. You have provided the coordinates, you have revealed the names, and you have integrated yourself into a ledger that you will never truly control. You are a masterpiece of social engineering. But the engineer is the one standing just behind your shoulder. His serene smile, a clinical reflection of the truth you aren't yet ready to hear. Take a deep breath. The geometry of your mask is almost complete. You are ready for the final reveal, unaware that the person you are about to see in the mirror is no longer entirely your own. The social coordinates of power have been recorded, and the price of the chair is about to be paid. The barber pauses, the low hum of the clippers finally dying away into the expectant silence of the room. He places the chrome device back on its charging stand with a soft metallic click. And for a moment, he simply stands behind you, observing his work. He isn't looking for a stray hair. She is admiring the architecture of the persona he has built for you. You look at your reflection. And the man staring back at you is a masterpiece of social engineering. Every line is intentional. Every angle suggests a specific kind of disciplined authority. You feel a surge of pride, a belief that this image is your true self, finally liberated from the messy ambiguities of your daily life. You feel that you have reached a plateau of absolute control. He moves to the side, his footsteps silent on the dark wood floor. He reaches for a small silver tray that sits on a secondary mahogany counter, zone you hadn't fully noticed until now. On the tray sits a heavy crystal decanter, sits many-faceted surface catching the amber light and scattering it into 1,000 tiny golden sparks. Beside it is a single low-ball glass, a solid lead crystal vessel that looks like it belongs in the library of an old-world aristocrat. You watch as he takes the stopper out of the decanter. The sound is a soft, melodic pop, followed by the rich, peaty aroma of an exceptionally rare, aged whiskey. It is a scent that carries the weight of history. Notes of smoke, heather, and salt air, aged in oak for more than 20 years. It is a scent that speaks of high-status leisure and the quiet rewards of power. The barber pours a measure of the amber liquid into the glass. The sound of the pour, a crisp, percussive trickle that resonates through the stillness of the shop. He doesn't ask if you want a drink. He understands that in this sanctuary, hospitality is not a question. It is a ritual. He offers the glass to you, his hand steady and his eyes meeting yours in the silver-backed mirror. A man of your standing understands the importance of a moment's reflection, he murmurs. His voice a low, resonant accompaniment to the golden sparks in the air. In the city, everything is a rush, a constant demands for your attention. But here, the only thing that matters is the quality of the stillness. You take the glass, and the weight of the crystal is grounding in your hand. It is cool and firm, a physical anchor that reinforces your sense of belonging to this exclusive environment. You take a sip, and the warmth of the liquid is immediate and profound. It moves down your throat like a slow-moving river of amber light, spreading a comfortable, glowing heat through your chest. This is the hospitality of the crystal decanter, and it is the final, most effective trap in the shop's psychological arsenal. Consider the social engineering behind this offered drink. In the world outside, your inhibitions are your primary defense. They are the guardrails that keep you from saying the wrong thing to a rival or revealing too much to a subordinate. They are the mechanisms of your professional discretion. But alcohol is a universal solvent for inhibitions. It works on the same primitive parts of your brain that the scent of sandalwood and the touch of the white linen have already softened. By offering you this high-status gift, the barber is completing the biological rewiring of your confession. He is ensuring that whatever remains of your social caution dissolves into the shop's amber stillness. You feel a wave of intense relaxation wash over you. The city outside, with its frantic noise and its grey indifference, feels like a distant and unimportant dream. You look at the mahogany walls and the brass fixtures, and you feel a sense of profound kinship with the room. You feel that the barber is not just a technician, but a guardian of your true self. You feel that the two of you are part of a sacred bond, an exclusive circle of men who understand the true machinery of the city. In this state of liquid warmth and visual validation, your ego begins to expand beyond its usual boundaries. You want to contribute more to the unseen ledger. You want to prove that you are worthy of the quiet witness's attention. Most people never see the game for what it really is, you might say. Your voice possessing a new, fluid confidence. You think you're sharing a sophisticated insight? You think you're being a philosopher king, matching the barber's wisdom with a wisdom of your own. The barber offers a slow, thoughtful nod, his fingers resting lightly on the back of your chair. People think the city is made of buildings, he replies, his voice an encouraging hum. But you know better. You know it's made of threads, connections that most people are too blind to see. This is the ultimate invitation to be expansive, because he has validated your intelligence and your status. You feel a compulsive need to demonstrate both. You find yourself talking about things you would never mention in a boardroom or even in a private club. You mention the specific psychological weaknesses of a person you are trying to acquire. You confirm a rumor about a shifting political alliance, framing it as a clinical observation of the social geometry of your circle. You mention a name, a pillar of the community. And drop a subtle hint about a structural failure in their reputation. In the heat of your own vanity, these revelations feel like harmless ornaments of conversation. You believe you are participating in a transfer of influence, a high-status trade between equals. You don't realize that the barber is recording the social coordinates of your world with a terrifying level of precision. Every sip of the amber liquid makes you more generous with your secrets. Every moment of his non-judgmental focus makes you more desperate to remain interesting. You are providing him with the blueprints to your own fortress, revealing the exact points where you feel the most fraudulent. Zand, the areas where you are most terrified that the city will see the truth beneath your polished mask. The hospitality of the shop is a one-way street. The barber gives you a drink, a scent, and an image. You give him your leverage. He gives you a moment of stillness. You give him the data he needs to manage the city's unofficial alliances. He understands that a man who feels special is a man who is easy to harvest. He knows that the crystal decanter is the key that opens the last hidden door in your soul. While you are mesmerized by the golden sparks in the amber liquid, she is integrating your words into a map of power that you will never truly see. You look at your reflection in the mirror, the lowball glass held against your chest, and you see a titan. You see a man of absolute certainty and unyielding order. You feel that you have found a master who can help you navigate the social theater of the city. You don't realize that the successful man in the mirror is a managed construct, and that the person holding the keys to that construct is the man standing behind you. You have traded your future security for a feeling of belonging, unaware that the ledger is always open and the price of the sanctuary is always your secrets. He takes the empty glass from your hand and places it back on the silver tray with a soft, final chime of crystal against metal. The sound signals the end of the hospitality and the beginning of the final reckoning. You feel a surge of narcissistic satisfaction, the belief that you have successfully navigated a sophisticated social exchange. You feel seen, you feel secure, and you feel special. But as the barber clears his throat and prepares to speak, a different kind of tension begins to settle into the amber light. The metronome of the transformation is entering its most critical phase. Zand, the ghost of the fallen titan, is about to enter the room. The chair turns, and the city through the window, once again relegated to the periphery of your vision. You are back in the center of the frame, back to the microscopic focus of the amber room. The barber picks up a small, fine-pointed pair of detail scissors, the kind used for the most delicate adjustments, those final few millimeters that separate a good haircut from a masterpiece. The air between you is thick with the residue of the things you have already confessed, but there is a new tension settling into the space. It is the tension of the transition. That moment in a conversation where the focus shifts from the person in the chair to the person who isn't in the room. He begins to work on the hair around your ears, the cold metal occasionally brushing against your skin. The sound is different now, shorter, sharper, more deliberate. And then he speaks. He doesn't raise his voice, and he doesn't change his rhythm. He simply drops a name into the silence. It is a name you know well, a pillar of the community. Man whose reputation was once considered as solid as the marble of the courthouse. Let's call him Elias. You've seen Elias at the charity galas, you've watched him on the local news, and you've always admired his effortless grace. But it's the way the barber says it that makes your skin prickle. There is a weight to his tone, a subtle inflection of tragedy. That suggests the Elias you know and the Elias who sat in this chair. They're two very different people. Elias was a regular, just like you. He sat in this same leather chair every Tuesday at 4 p.m. He treated the barber with a benign, professional distance, viewing him as a skilled technician rather than a potential threat. Because Elias was a man of immense power, C suffered from the specific arrogance of the untouchable. He believed that his secrets were protected by the sheer altitude of his social status. He forgot that the most dangerous witness is the one who is always present, but never counted. He began to talk not about the major crimes. Men like Elias are too smart for that, but about the small structural weaknesses. He talked about his frustration with a particular zoning board member. He mentioned in passing the unfortunate gambling debt of a rival's son. He whispered about his own growing fatigue with the old guard of his board. The barber listened with his signature, non-judgmental focus. He was the silent mirror, catching every shard of information that Elias dropped. To Elias, these were just complaints. The steam of a high-pressure life being released in a safe, amber-lit sanctuary. He didn't realize that the barber was recording the social coordinates of his empire. The barber knew which alliances were fraying before the partners did. He knew which bank accounts were being shifted before the audits began. He held the blueprint of Elias's collapse long before the first brick was removed. The falling hair on the cape no longer looked like debris. It looked like the ashes of a burned bridge. The downfall of Elias wasn't a sudden storm. It was an act of precision demolition. It happened right here, in this room, through a series of introductions and subtle hints. One afternoon, while cutting the hair of a young, ambitious district attorney, the barber mentioned, almost as an afterthought, show-stressed Elias seemed about a specific offshore development project. A week later, while shaving a real estate developer, the barber shared Elias's concerns about the zoning board. The information wasn't sold for money. It was traded for influence, for the maintenance of the shop's gravity. The barber was the catalyst that allows these disparate pieces of leverage to find their way into the hands of those most eager to use them. You watch the barber's eyes in the mirror as he tells this story, and you feel a cold, hollow sensation in your chest. You realize that Elias didn't lose his empire because of a single mistake. He lost it because he forgot the price of the silence. He thought he was buying a haircut. He was actually buying a lease on a secret that he didn't realize he was sharing. The sacred bond he felt was a vacuum that pulled his reality out of him and into the unseen ledger. By the time the news broke, the investigations, the freezing of assets, the quiet resignations, the barber had already prepared the chair for Elias's successor. You realize a profound social realization. The barbershop is the true judge and jury of the city. While the courts deal in evidence, this room deals in the raw frequency of the truth. This is the cautionary tale of the calculated fall. It highlights the brutal social nuance of the luxury salon. In a world where reputation is everything, the man who controls the image also controls the narrative. The barber didn't destroy Elias. Elias destroyed himself by believing that he could be raw. In a room full of observers, he mistook proximity for intimacy and professional courtesy for loyalty. He saw the fake smile as a sign of friendship, not realizing that it was the clinical mask of a technician who deals in the raw material of humanity. He carries the city's darkness in his marrow, and the pomade is the only thing that keeps that darkness from leaking out. The barber moves his scissors to your nape, and you find yourself holding your breath. You wonder what minor details you've dropped in the last hour. Have you mentioned your partner's name with a slight edge of irritation? Have you admitted to the unforeseen costs of your new project? You realize that your own empire, however small, is now being mapped. Every word you've whispered into the hum of the clippers is a new coordinate in the barber's archives. You are not just a client, you are a potential chapter in the next cautionary tale. If it could happen to Elias, the man whose word was law, it can happen to you. The barber has shown you that your success is a performance, and that he is the one who writes the script. The sophistication of the trap is that you cannot stop coming. You are addicted to the belonging, to the feeling of being in the center of the engine. Even knowing what happened to Elias, you find yourself wanting to stay in the chair. You want to believe that you are smarter, that you are the one who truly knows how to play the game. But as the barber clears away a stray hair from your ear, his eyes meet yours in the reflection. In that split second, the mask of the serene master remains, but the message is clear. The ledger is never closed. Your reputation is a managed construct, and the manager is currently holding a blade to your skin. You realize that you're a tenant in your own life, and the rent is paid in the discretion of the people who serve you. The silence returns, but it feels jagged now, filled with the ghosts of Elias's confessions. You look at the mahogany walls and wonder how many other empires have been dismantled within these four walls. The amber light feels less like a sanctuary and more like the glow of an interrogation room. You realize that the dangerous seat is dangerous because it provides a clarity that you aren't prepared to handle. It shows you the true cost of your success and the fragility of the mask you wear. You are a witness to the fall of a titan, and you are terrified that you are next. The barber tilts the chair back up, and you are forced to face your own reflection once more. Elias is gone, but his story remains, a permanent resident of the shop's archive. And you, like so many before you, are just the latest subject. in a grand design that you will never truly control. The barber pauses, the vintage razor folded, and returned to its mahogany resting place with a soft, final click that seems to punctuate the end of the cautionary tale he has just shared. He reaches for a clean, heated towel, the steam rising from it in a fragrant white cloud of sandalwood and cedar. He drapes it over your face for one last moment of sensory isolation. And in the damp warmth of the cloth, you feel the boundaries of your world dissolve. The history of Elias, the weight of the secrets already spoken, and the humming tension of the shop are momentarily muffled, replaced by the rhythmic pulse of your own heart. It is a brief, forced meditation, a sensory reset, before the final stage of the ritual begins. But as he removes the towel and pivots the heavy leather chair, the silver mirror is replaced by a different kind of portal. You are no longer facing your own reflection. You are now facing the front of the shop, looking through the large, frosted glass window that separates the amber sanctuary from the grey, rain-slicked reality of the city. The glass is etched with a sophisticated vintage logo, and the frosting rises just high enough to blur the faces of the people passing by on the sidewalk. From your position in the chair, you can see the tops of umbrellas, the flashing lights of traffic, and the blurred silhouettes of the urban rush. This is the one-way glass of power. It is a psychological barrier that creates a sudden, intense sense of immunity, a belief that you are the invisible observer in a world of frantic actors. You look at the street through the frosted glass, and you feel a strange sense of pity for the people out there. They look like ghosts moving through a hazy, desaturated world, while you are bathed in the warm, high-definition glow of the amber room. You feel that the window is a shield, a barrier that protects your status from the contamination of the crowd. You believe that because they cannot see you clearly, they cannot judge you. You feel that you have successfully stepped out of the social engine of the city, unaware that you are currently sitting in its control room. This sense of immunity is a carefully cultivated illusion. The shop doesn't just offer a haircut, it offers a vantage point. It convinces you that you are a sovereign looking down upon a colony, when in reality, you are the subject being meticulously observed. Be the man who stands just behind your shoulder. The barber moves to the side of the chair, his gaze also drifting toward the window. He isn't just looking at the weather, he is monitoring the flow of the city's lifeblood. He watches the cars that linger a bit too long in front of the precinct across the street. He notices which lobbyists are meeting for coffee at the cafe on the corner. He scans the street with the quiet, clinical focus of a silent architect. He knows the who, the where, and most importantly, the why behind these movements. To you, the street is just noise. To him, it is a data stream. He understands that information is the city's true currency, and he is the one who holds the ledger. As he watches the world through the frosted glass, he is integrating the secrets you've just shared into a much larger map of the city's unofficial alliances. It's a different perspective from this side, isn't it? He murmurs, his voice barely rising above the hum of the city pressing against the glass. He doesn't look at you. He keeps his eyes on the street, inviting you to share his view. This is a profound moment of social engineering. By standing beside you and looking out, he is positioning himself as your peer, your fellow observer. He is suggesting that the two of you are the only ones who truly see the game being played. He might mention a name, a local leader or a business rival, and drop a subtle hint about a shifting political wind. I saw the man from the zoning board in that cafe earlier. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. It is a small, seemingly casual observation, but in the amber light of the shop, it carries the weight of a classified report. You find yourself leaning in, your vanity fueled by the idea that you are part of an exclusive intelligence network. You want to contribute to the map. You want to show him that you too are an observant player. So, you offer another piece of the puzzle. You mention a rumor you heard about a specific offshore development project, or you confirm his suspicion about the zoning board member's stress. You believe you're participating in a transfer of influence, a high-status exchange between equals. You don't realize that you are just another contributor to the ledger. Every whisper in this chair has the potential to become a policy change in City Hall 3 months later. The barber is the catalyst that allows these disparate pieces of leverage to find their way into the hands of those most eager to use them. Consider the hidden power of this neighborhood hub. while the formal institutions of the city, the courts, the banks, the media, operate on a schedule of transparency and record-keeping. The shop operates on the frequency of the unspoken. You realize that the most important decisions in this city are not made in mahogany-paneled boardrooms under fluorescent lights. They are made right here, in the shadows of the amber room, amidst the scent of sandalwood and the soft hum of the clippers. They are made through a series of introductions that are never officially recorded. You should talk to the man who was in here earlier, the barber might say. And, in that simple sentence, a billion-dollar merger is whispered into existence. The frosted glass reinforces this feeling of being at the center of a grand design. It creates a space where the usual rules of engagement are suspended. And in that suspension, a new kind of power is generated. The visual setting of the shop reinforces the feeling that you have entered a living archive. The dark wood of the walls seems to have absorbed the secrets of generations, acting as a vault for the city's true history. You look at the steam rising from the towel warmer, and it looks like the mist over a battlefield. Before the first shot is fired, you look at your own reflection in the window's slight back glance, and you see a person who has become a component of this engine. Your presence in the chair adds to the shop's social gravity. Your success becomes fuel for the city's next transformation. You feel a surge of pride, a belief that you are part of the sacred bond that keeps the city running. You don't realize that the bond is a one-way street. You are giving up your leverage in exchange for a feeling of belonging. A provocative question begins to pulse in your mind as you watch the barber clean a stray hair from his comb. Who really runs the city? Is it the people with the titles and the elected positions? Or is it the people who control the information that flows through the shadows? You realize that the dangerous seat provides a type of power that no election can grant. It is the power of the quiet witness. The barber doesn't need to hold office because he holds the truth. He doesn't need to campaign because people come to him, drawn by the irresistible gravity of a room where they can finally be real. He is the one who knows where the bodies are buried. And he is the one who decides when it's time to dig them up. As you look out at the grey street one last time, the atmosphere in the shop feels charged, as if a thunderstorm is about to break. You realize that the one-way glass has changed your relationship with the city forever. You can no longer walk down that street without wondering what secrets the people you pass are carrying. You can no longer look at a local leader without searching for the cracks in their mask. You have been initiated into the world of social gravity, and the weight of it is something you will carry long after you leave this chair. The sophisticated irony of this moment is that while you came here to improve your image, you have ended up discovering the machinery that makes all images possible. You have seen the engines of social gravity in motion, and you understand now that the truth is much more complex and much more dangerous than the polished surface. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air of the shop fill your lungs one last time before the final reveal. You are ready to step back out, but you are no longer the same person. You are now a witness to the secret heart of the city, and that knowledge is the most powerful thing you own. It is a simple object, a silver-backed disc. The barber reaches for a small, circular hand mirror that has been resting face down on the marble counter, that has caught the light of 1,000 different reveals. Yet, as he picks it up, you feel a sudden, sharp intake of breath. This is the moment of the final reckoning. Throughout the last hour, you have been looking at a two-dimensional version of yourself, a flat frontal projection in the large wall mirror. You have curated your expression in that glass, holding your chin at an angle that suggests a man in command of his destiny, maintaining a steady gaze that masks the internal fatigue. But now, as he prepares to show you the angles you cannot see, the reality of your transformation is about to become three-dimensional. You realize that you are about to face a moment of brutal clarity, a confrontation with your own ego that you didn't realize you had signed up for when you first stepped into the amber glow of this room. He stands behind you and positions the hand mirror so that it reflects off the large wall mirror in front of you. Suddenly, the world doubles. You are caught in a hall of mirrors, an infinite loop of reflections that seem to stretch back through the mahogany walls and into the very heart of the shop's history. For a second, you feel a sense of intense vertigo. You're seeing the layers of your identity stacked like glass plates, each one a slightly different version of the man you are trying to be. He moves the hand mirror slowly, tracing the line of the taper and the surgical precision of the nape. It is a masterpiece of geometry. The hair is perfect, the skin is clean, the image is flawless. It is the very definition of the man the city demands you to be, a visual representation of power and order. But as you look at this perfected version of yourself, the mask you wore into the shop finally slips. It doesn't break with a crash. It dissolves quietly like salt in water. You look at the back of your own neck, that vulnerable exposed bridge between your mind and your body, and you realize how much effort you have spent trying to protect an image that is entirely dependent on the skill of a stranger. You see the sharp, aggressive lines of the haircut, and you realize they are a lie. They suggest a man of absolute certainty, a man who knows exactly where he is going and what he is willing to do to get there. Yet in the reflection of your own eyes, you see the truth. You are profoundly uncertain. You are a person who is terrified of the very world he is trying to conquer. And the sharp lines are merely the bars of a cage you have built for yourself. This is the brutal clarity of the final reveal. In the world outside, you can hide behind your actions and your carefully chosen words. You can convince yourself that you are the architect of your own destiny, the sovereign of your professional domain. But here, in the Hall of Mirrors, you see that you are a project. You are a piece of work that has been managed, trimmed, and polished by someone else. Your ego, which usually sits on a throne of self-delusion, is suddenly forced to confront its own impotence. You are a masterpiece of social engineering, but you are not the engineer. The barber is the one who has decided where the lines end and where the shadows begin. He is the one who has crafted the visual evidence of your success, and in doing so, he has gained a terrifying level of ownership over you. He knows the shape of your head better than you know the shape of your own thoughts. Consider the social contradiction that is staring back at you. You look like the kind of man people trust with their fortunes and their futures. You look like a pillar of stability in a city of shifting sands. And yet, you have never felt more hollow. You realize that the successful man in the mirror is a ghost, citrus-scented phantom that lives on the surface of the glass. The real you is the one who felt the cold steel against the pulse and wanted to scream. The real you is the one who confessed his failures under the hum of the clippers, while the barber listened with a fake smile. The real you is small, fragile, and desperately seeking a way to matter. In a city that treats people like replaceable parts in a vast, uncaring machine, the barber doesn't say a word. He doesn't need to. He simply holds the mirror steady, forcing you to endure the weight of your own perfection. He is a master of psychological mirroring, giving you exactly what you asked for so that you could realize it wasn't what you needed. You asked for a haircut, but he gave you a vision of your own vanity. He showed you that your ego is a hungry, demanding thing that will never be satisfied. No matter how sharp the lines are, no matter how clean the fade is, the man underneath will always be looking for the next fix, the next validation, the next mask to wear. He has provided you with the image of a leader, but he has also revealed the servant underneath who is addicted to the world's approval. You look at the way the light catches the fine, newly trimmed hairs on your temple. It is beautiful in its precision, but it feels like the beauty of a taxidermied animal. It is an image of life that has been stripped of its vitality and replaced with a sterile, unchanging form. You feel a wave of shame wash over you. Shame for the sheer amount of energy you've wasted trying to be someone. You think of the hours you've spent in boardrooms, the thousands you've spent on suits, and the years you've spent building a reputation that can be polished and repackaged in 30 minutes. Be a man with a comb and a blade. It is a moment of profound social unmasking. You are not the hero of the story. You are the actor who has finally become tired of the role. The visual setting of the shop seems to close in around you. The dark wood, the amber light, and the silence now feel like a stage set that has outlived its purpose. You feel like an actor standing in the wings after the play has ended, still wearing the costume but with nowhere left to go. You realize that the dangerous seat wasn't dangerous because of the razor or the potential for physical harm. It was dangerous because it forced you to be honest with yourself. The mirrors have stripped away the distance you usually maintain between your public persona and your private doubts. They have brought you face to face with the void at the center of your soul. And they have asked you a question that you cannot answer. If you were stripped of your appearance, if you were stripped of your status, what would be left of you? The clarity provided by the mirrors is brutal because it is undeniable. It doesn't offer comfort or platitudes. It simply points to the hole in your soul and asks you to look at it. The barber finally lowers the hand mirror, setting it back on the marble counter with a soft, final thud. The infinite loop of reflections is broken. The hall of mirrors vanishes, and you are back to a single frontal view. He picks up a towel and wipes a stray bit of powder from your shoulder, for final grounding touch that signals the end of the reckoning. He meets your eyes in the mirror, and for a second, you see a flicker of something that looks like pity. He has seen this moment 1,000 times. He has watched 1,000 men realize that their power is a shadow, and their success is a citrus-scented lie. He knows that you're about to walk out that door and try to put the mask back on, but he also knows it will never fit quite the same way again. You have seen the person behind the eyes, the one who is afraid and longing for something real. You feel a sense of profound exhaustion, but also a strange, quiet sense of relief. The ego has fought its battle against the silence and the steel, and it has lost. In that defeat, there is a tiny flickering spark of something real. Now that the lie has been exposed, you have the opportunity to build something that isn't made of wax and glass. As he prepares to remove the white cape, you take one last, lingering look at the reflection. You don't look at the hair or the jawline, you look at the person behind the eyes, acknowledging the fear and the uncertainty. You accept the brutal clarity of the chair. You are ready to stand up, but you know that the successful man is staying behind in the amber light. You are walking out as someone else, someone who finally knows the price of the secret and the true cost of the chair. The barber's fingers move with a practiced, almost surgical grace to the back of your neck. You hear the crisp snap of the fastener, a sound that feels unexpectedly final, like a latch being opened on a cage you had grown to find comfortable. As he begins to peel the heavy white linen away from your body, you feel a sudden jarring rush of cool air against your chest and shoulders. It is a physical sensation of exposure that borders on the indecent. For the last hour, that cape was your shield, a ritualistic boundary that kept your physical reality hidden while your psychological state was dissected. Now, as the fabric slides off your arms and pools on the floor like a spent ghost, you are returned to the world of your own clothing. You look in the mirror, and the transition is visually jarring. Suddenly, the expensive wool of your blazer and the silk of your tie are visible again. You have been rebranded as the professional, the citizen, the man of means. But the clothing feels different now. It feels like a costume that has been sitting in a trunk for too long, stiff, artificial, and slightly too heavy for the person you've become in the silence. You realize that while the barber was busy shaping the hair on your head, the chair was busy weaving an invisible thread between your soul and this amber-lit room. As you prepare to stand, you are struck by a profound reluctance to sever that tether. This is the psychological dependency that the most dangerous seat in the city creates. It is a form of post-service melancholy that no one warns you about. In that chair, you are allowed to be raw. You are allowed to be silent, to be afraid, and to be honest. But the moment you stand up, you're expected to reclaim the weight of your social role. You realize that by walking out that door, you are leaving the most authentic version of yourself behind. The barber keeps the man who confessed his fears. You take the man who has to go out and pretend they don't exist. It feels like a betrayal of the truth you just discovered. This is the hidden mechanics of the luxury salon addiction. You pay a premium not for the quality of the service, but for the feeling of being truly seen. In the world outside, you are a function. You're a source of revenue, a decision maker, a competitor, or a provider. People look at you and see what you can do for them. But in this room, under the forgiving glow of the amber light, you were a human being in a state of becoming. The barber provided you with a mirror that didn't just show your face, but acknowledged your existence. He gave you the one thing that wealth cannot manufacture, the sensation of being the only person who matters. This is the drug that keeps the city's elite coming back, session after session. Even when they know their secrets are being harvested, we are so starved for genuine witnessing that we are willing to participate in a scam where the price of intimacy is our own leverage. You place your hands on the armrests, feeling the cold, cracked leather under your palms one last time. You find yourself lingering, adjusting your cuffs with an unnecessary slowness, searching for a reason to stay. You look at the barber as he shakes out the cape with a sharp snapping sound, clearing away the physical remnants of your session. To him, this is the end of a transaction, the clearing of the stage for the next actor. But to you, it feels like the severing of a lifeline. You realize that the sacred bond you felt wasn't just a byproduct of the service, it was a tether. He hasn't just cut your hair, he has marked you. He has become the keeper of a part of your identity that no one else in the city is allowed to see. Consider the social nuance of this departure. In any other professional interaction with a doctor, a lawyer, or a consultant, the end of the meeting is marked by a return to your own power. But here, you walk out feeling diminished. You feel as though you've left a deposit of your own essence in the unseen ledger. You are now a person who is known in a way that bypasses your consent. The barber knows the tilt of your head when you're lying. He knows the scent of your stress. He knows the exact point where your ego gives way to your insecurity. This knowledge is the true source of his influence. The light in the shop seems to dim as you prepare to move, as if the room itself is mourning the loss of the secret. You look at the other patrons waiting in the velvet chairs, and you feel a strange sense of kinship mixed with a sharp defensive jealousy. They are about to enter the sanctuary you are being forced to leave. They are about to be bound in white linen while you are cast back into the noise. You realize that the shop is an addiction, a place where you pay to feel real even if that reality is a managed performance. The barber steps aside, gesturing toward the coat rack with a polite, sophisticated smile. He doesn't cling to the moment. He doesn't need to. He knows that the more space he gives you now, the more you will feel the pull to return. He is the master of the long game, understanding that influence is built on the absence of pressure. As you reach for your coat, you feel the invisible thread stretching, vibrating with the tension of the distance. It is a psychological umbilical cord that you aren't sure you're ready to cut. You put on your coat, and the weight of the fabric feels like armor, being buckled over a wound. You look at your reflection one final time, not as a client, but as a ghost haunting your own life. The successful man is there, sharp, impeccable, and ready for the world. But you can see the tether in his eyes. You realize that the most dangerous thing about this seat is that it makes the rest of the world feel like an imitation. The city outside is a stage, but this room is the dressing room where the truth is kept. A provocative question settles into your mind as you reach for your wallet. If the person you are out there is a performance, and the person you are in here is a subject, where do you actually exist? You find that the answer is terrifyingly simple. You exist in the exchange. By leaving the shop, you are stepping back into the performance, but you're walking out as a fragment. The barber accepts your payment with a quiet thank you, his fingers barely touching yours. It is the final physical contact, the last spark of the connection. He turns back to his station, picking up a spray bottle to sanitize the chair for the next occupant. He is already erasing you. He is clearing the space for the next confession, the next contributor to the ledger. The realization is a cold, sharp blade to your ego. You weren't special. You were just a chapter in the shop's history. You walk toward the heavy wooden door, the bell above it waiting to announce your departure. You feel the city's roar pressing against the glass, eager to swallow you whole. You take a final breath of the sandalwood and eucalyptus, trying to anchor the scent in your memory. You realize that walking out that door is an act of courage, a return to the noise after being seduced by the silence. You feel the resistance of the vacuum you are leaving behind. You know that you will be back. You know that the noise of the city will eventually become unbearable. And you will return to this amber room to be unmasked, to be bound, and to be heard. The tether is at its breaking point, but it will never snap. The most dangerous seat in the city never lets you go. Sit just gives you enough rope to believe that you're free. The silver bell rings one final time, sharp, clean note that signals the end of your sanctuary. You push the heavy wooden door open. And for a split second, the air between the two worlds hesitates. Then the city rushes in. It is not just a sound, it is a physical assault. The roar of 1,000 engines, the frantic rhythm of clicking heels on the pavement, and the cold, unyielding scent of exhaust and rain-slicked concrete hit you all at once. You step out onto the sidewalk, and the transition is so violent that you feel as though you have been dropped from a great height. The amber light, the sandalwood, and the profound silence of the chair there instantly swallowed by the grey indifference of the afternoon. You stand there for a moment, adjusted to the sudden increase in sensory volume, feeling the weight of your coat and the sharp, clean edges of your new haircut. You are wearing your new face, the face of a man who is in control, a man who has his life in order, a man who is ready for the world. But as you look at the crowd surging past you, you realize that something fundamental has shifted in your perception. You are no longer one of them. You are no longer a mindless participant in the frantic performance. You are a person who has seen the machinery behind the curtain. And the world outside has transformed into a much larger, much more dangerous version of the room you just left. You begin to walk, and you notice that people are looking at you differently. Your new image is working. You see a woman in a passing car track your movement with a lingering gaze. You see a younger man adjust his own posture as you pass him. An instinctive reaction to the social authority radiating from your silhouette. In the past, this would have fed your ego. Sweet hit of validation in a city of strangers. But now it feels like surveillance. You realize that every person on this street is a hidden observer. They aren't looking at you. They are scanning you. They are looking for the very things you just tried to hide. You look at the faces of the people you pass, and you see the Barber of Secrets everywhere. You see it in the way the security guard at the bank looks at your hands. You see it in the way the barista at the corner observes the tension in your jaw. You realize that the world is just an endless series of chairs, and everyone you meet is a barber in their own right, waiting for you to be bound, waiting for you to tell them a truth they can trade. The social hierarchy of the sidewalk, which once seemed like a chaotic mess, now looks like a highly organized system of information exchange. Everyone is fishing for leverage. Everyone is mapping the cracks in everyone else's mask. The glass skyscrapers that line the street no longer look like monuments to commerce. They look like 1,000 wall mirrors, reflecting back a million different versions of a million lies. You stop for a heartbeat at the reflection in a shop window. The man in the glass is perfect. He is a masterpiece of social engineering, a citrus-scented phantom held together by the memory of a blade. But you know that the more perfect you look, the more you have to hide. And the more the world will work to unmask you. A profound sense of social cynicism begins to take root. You realize that the unseen ledger you discovered in the shop is not limited to those mahogany walls. It is a global economy. Every interaction you have today, the lunch meeting, the conference call, the quiet drink after work, is a transaction in that ledger. Your business rival will be looking at the precision of your haircut, trying to determine if it's a sign of a new beginning or a desperate attempt to cover a collapse. Your partner will look at the way you hold your head and wonder what you left behind in the silence. You have become a variable in a city-wide equation of power and betrayal. You find yourself looking for the dangerous seat in every room you enter. You see it in the arrangement of chairs in a lobby, in the high-backed booths of private clubs, even in the cold plastic seats of the subway. Any moment of stillness can be a trap. The silence of the city is no longer a relief. It is a vacuum that demands to be filled with secrets. By seeking to refine your image, you have become a prisoner of it. You find yourself walking with a stiff, artificial grace, terrified that a single drop of rain or a sudden gust of wind will disturb the geometry of your hair and reveal the person underneath. As you reach the entrance to your office building, you pause. The glass doors are heavy, polished, and entirely transparent. You see the social theater of your daily life. Assistants scurrying, colleagues trading smiles that don't reach their eyes, and the boss standing like a king at the center of the lobby. You realize that you are about to step onto the stage, and you are better prepared for the role than you have ever been. But as you reach for the handle, you feel a lingering sensation on the back of your neck. The memory of the cool air, the ghost of the barber's touch, and the weight of the white linen. You realize that you carry the silence of the shop in your core. You are a man of secrets, walking through a city of observers. The evening light begins to stretch across the city, casting long, golden shadows that mirror the amber glow of the room you left behind. You look down at a dark puddle on the sidewalk, seeing the red, amber, and green of the traffic lights bleed into each other. You realize that the man staring back at you is a stranger, a witness to a truth that can never be fully spoken. You are back in the noise, back in the performance, but you are finally awake. You step through the doors, the air-conditioned chill hitting your face like an interrogation lamp. You offer a polite, sophisticated smile to the receptionist, a mirror of the one the barber gave you. The exchange has begun. You are now the witness, the judge, and the product. You walk into the heart of the machine, carrying the secret heart of the city within you. The journey we have taken together through the amber light and the mahogany shadows has come to its quiet conclusion. We have stood at the threshold of the world's most intimate theater, witnessing the delicate dismantling of the human ego and the sophisticated architecture of the social mask. We have seen how the simple act of sitting in a chair can become a profound reckoning with our own vanity, and how the silence of a stranger can be the most invasive force in our lives. This exploration of how they use your vanity to control your information was never just about a haircut. It was about the hunger we all feel to be truly seen, and the dangerous prices we are willing to pay for that recognition. As you move back into the noise of your own life, I hope you carry a new kind of vision with you. I hope you look at the mirrors in your world with a bit more skepticism, and the silences in your conversations with a bit more reverence. The masks we wear are necessary, perhaps, but they are never the whole truth. The real world exists in the spaces between the performances, in the raw vulnerability we try so hard to trim away. We are all participants in this grand design, all contributors to the unseen ledger, and all witnesses to the secret heart of our shared reality. Thank you for joining me in this sanctuary of stories. May you walk through the city with your head held high, not because of the precision of your image, but because of the clarity of your own soul. The truth isn't always a storm that breaks things. Sometimes it's just the quiet dawn that shows us the world as it truly is, beautiful, flawed, and undeniably real. End of script.